Let's see how this unfolds. C4 finally, which I'm relieved to see. So no Berlins anymore.
No Berlins, and finally some action, and let's watch out for the move 17-18.
Yeah, that's a dangerous spot. Yeah, bishop b4, which is once again good sign because d5 is shortly studied. Bishop b4 is, well, a little bit less studied, even though still, of course, there is theory. Knight d5, bishop c5. What do they play here? I believe it's castle short, and then various, castle short,
and something like e3, I would imagine.
Yeah, well, it depends, I believe, on black's very next move. Yeah, well, very often nowadays it's e3, and then b3, bishop b2, sometimes even something with b4, and then knight h4, f4. Those are the ideas.
Right, so right now Wesley is choosing between his options, and he does play e3. He would be very happy for black to play knight takes on d5, because then he can grab at the c pawn and continue to play d4. Black would have a weakness on c7. Obviously, Sergey Karjakin is not going to do it. He is familiar with this position. He very quickly played rook e8.
And at some point, if I remember correctly, this rook e8 is the signal that black might want to play e4 later on. But Wesley plays d2, d4, where black...
Whoa, bishop g4.
I was about to say black is practically forced to take on d4, but Karjakin says no.
Is this a known idea? I'm not familiar.
I don't know. I mean, it was played pretty fast.
So it must be.
That much I can see. Yeah,
so it must be idea. So, yeah, d takes on c5. The idea is to meet with e5, e4, and followed by knight e5. And something unpleasant might be going on, so it would pretty much force Wesley to play h3. But look,
yeah, well, he'll have to play h3.
Wesley's surprised. At least he didn't play immediately, and we are playing a blitz game. 5 minutes.
So that means that he's got surprised, and this is an unpleasant surprise then. If you don't know what to do exactly in this position.
So I would imagine he needs to take on c5, and after e4 you need to get rid of the pin, because the knight e5 is such an annoying threat, and play something like h3. But at least...
dc5 played, yes.
There's some action going on.
Knight
c3.
Knight back to c3. So he wants to take on e4? Is that the point?
So question is, what happens now after knight e5?
Yeah, that's what I thought. What happens if black indeed plays knight e5? So that if you take on e4, black recaptures on e4, remaining with this very unpleasant, well, seemingly very unpleasant pin on d1, h5 diagonal. Knight c3, knight e5 indeed, right. Yeah. Well, the feeling is that Wesley actually had to play h3.
Yeah, this is really surprising, because he played it so quickly. Knight c3. So what do you do now about this pin? Because knight e4, the pin is still there. And black just wants to play knight g5.
Yeah, takes. Knight g5 is the idea in this case. If h3 is played, then at the very least it's knight f3, bishop h3, black is winning some material. I believe Wesley just blundered with knight c3.
I don't know what he blundered. It might have been that he thought that the pin is not so... Whoa, and we have a queen sacrifice on the board. So after knight takes on e5, bishop takes on d1. Finally, some action is going on. What is this?
Oh, well, so they were waiting for the blitz games, and then they start the whole action. Yeah, knight e5, and possibly knight e5 is the best practical solution, you know, after he has blundered. Yeah, so knight e5, one more time. If knight e4 happens, black captures on e4, threatens knight g5. In case of h3, swap here, bishop h3, leaves black with a huge advantage.
Right.
So Wesley proceed with, after knight e5, with knight takes e5, bishop to d1, knight takes on f7, and intermezzo. And
right.
then,
if I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down with music, right?
Yeah, in a glorious way. King f7, I assume. Karjakin, for some reason, is not very happy, it seems. Look, king f7, rook d1, I kind of get Wesley's point. Then he's going to take on d6 if white recaptures with the pawn, then b3, bishop b2. White is getting quite a decent play.
Guys, I just beg you, don't make a quick draw here, because this is not a dead draw here.
Imagine knight f7, I offer a draw.
Right, it's not going to happen. I mean, we are just
I hope so. I hope so, but...
So Sergey is thinking about his
Queen e7, so he's trying to...
I mean, black is so much ahead in material. White has some practical compensation,
of course, but yeah...
Especially for the blitz. I mean, Queen e7... rook takes on d1 feels like the natural choice.
You can take on d6 first, doesn't really matter. Queen f7, rook d1, and maybe black is on time to take on c4, because the feeling is like you have to open more files, yeah? You have to open more files.
I mean, knight takes on d6 and c takes on d6, it also looks extremely interesting, and it is played.
Knight takes d6 played.
Yeah, and c takes on d6, and what is the material?
Pawn takes...
What is the
Queen
material
takes
situation?
d6.
So it is
two bishops and a couple of pawns. Well, actually, if white develops, he won't be worse at all. If he's on time to play b3, bishop b2, and then put one of the pieces to d4, white is not worse at all.
We are nearing the dangerous zone of 17th, 18th move.
Rook d1, queen e5, and now it's time for Wesley to play a move to over and draw.
Right.
But seriously, what to do for white now? Well, I'm not sure if this is the best version he could have, because now he's in no position to play b3, bishop b2. It's simply too slow, right?
As funny as it may sound, I mean, this position is easier to play for white in the blitz game, because the moves are natural and black has to prove something, and black is ahead of some material, but it's not really so clear. It's quite amazing that Wesley came up with this practical resource to sacrifice the queen.
And to add to that, imagine under how much pressure Karjakin finds himself. Because if he doesn't win this, then, you know, it's not possible to come back in the game psychologically. I mean, for next game, it will be really tough.
It wasn't really like he was immediately winning everywhere, so Wesley blundered. Presumably he has a very bad position, but I wouldn't exactly name it as outright losing. But I mean, yeah, I mean, Sergey Karjakin has at least had a big advantage, and right now it's not so clear anymore, at least.
So bishop e1, and white doesn't have all that many weaknesses, right? So what you normally do, well, b7, b6, okay. What you normally do here with black, you try to swap the rooks, I believe. Well, perhaps you try to swap as much as possible, right?
Yeah, but how to do it? I mean, because you swap up the rooks, then the pawn on e4 most likely falls.
Yeah.
And then you have two bishops and a lot of pawns for the queen.
Yeah, exactly. Rook d3 is Karjakin's choice here. Right after Wesley somehow weakened the c3 knight's position. Right. Maybe, possibly, it wasn't the most precise move, this b3, because now it seems he will have to take on
Can I just take rook d3, he takes rook d1 and knight d5?
Takes.
It feels actually quite safe for white.
Rook to d1, rook d8, and knight d5.
And yeah, and and black can sacrifice the exchange back, no? Or he can include rook takes on d3 or not?
We'll see. We'll see, rook d1, rook d8. That's the position we have in the game. That's the position we have in the game. So yes, if, let's say, if black does something like this and then moves the king, then white is, well, the feeling is like white is perfectly fine after rook d3, right?
Right, yeah, you do not want to allow
That's a really great position for white. Okay, I mean, by the standards of this game, right? I'm still not sure if white is like fully equalized, but by the standards of this game, white...
I mean, it is a material equality on the board. It's two bishops.
Well, there is still some queen a1, queen a2 business going on, but yeah, white, of course, for a blitz game, gets fantastic practical chances. The point, however, is that after bishop d5, black, of course, captures on d5, and then the question is, does this pawn promote or not?
Right. So I don't think that Wesley is going to play knight d5 and find out if he's holding.
Bishop to f1, attacking this pawn one more time. Queen to f5, so now the pawn is once again defended. The question is, can I play knight d5 now?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because knight d5 you play rook d3.
Rook takes d3, then swap everything. Well, imagine black does something like defends the rook, I know. It's not even possible.
It's on the board. Yeah, you see Wesley actually played 95.
This is what has happened, yeah.
Yeah, but I would imagine he would play something like King F8 to go away from various spins because...
well, there is also Queen D3. That's the other thing. Queen D3, Bishop D3, Knight E3.
But is this better for black, actually? Because you have...
Not sure at all. Not sure at all. Well, my only move, it seems, is Bishop E2. Yeah, but 2 bishops plus 2 pawns. This one, if black doesn't win immediately, he might end up being worse. Yeah, so you don't want to give the queen back.
So I would imagine King F8. That would be the safe choice. Bring the king closer to the center. You want to play King E7.
Over here, yeah, King F8.
Yeah, I think so. That's the logical choice.
What I wanted to say, that even in a position like that, rook takes, pawn takes, queen takes over here, and... well,
play bishop C4 and A4?
Maybe I check first, King E8, Bishop C4, right, check, I go here, then A4. It might be just a fortress, you know.
And King F8 is on the board, it feels most natural. Now C takes on D5 was played by Wesley So, and now Sergey Karjakin is thinking...
King F8, C D5 first, okay.
Why didn't he take the pawn on D5?
Because, I can tell you why, Bishop B4 check. And then, in case of King E8, and otherwise it's an exchange in Bishop C4, and after King E8, there is E4, and all of a sudden White wins, because Queen E4 is met with Rook E3, so, well...
That's an amazing resource. I would imagine he missed it. I mean, he played King F8, most likely, then he noticed it on the board.
Yeah,
so it's very much
the situation is really sharp now. Rook to D4 was played, and Karjakin penetrates with his queen to A2. Well, he's got some chances, but on the king side, White has a lot of extra pawns, extra material. Yeah, check on F4. What do you do? That's actually dangerous for black as well, because King G8, D6 check. And then Bishop, yeah, King E7, he has to play King E7, but then
Bishop takes on
Bishop
G7,
takes on G7. Bishop F8 check, you can win the rook. Bishop F8 check.
Wow, that's unexpected, and suddenly White looks like he's winning.
White is winning, Bishop B5. King C7, Rook F7, White is simply
winning.
winning.
Wow, Bishop B5, unbelievable. King C7, Rook C4 ends the game.
Wow. Rook C4 as well. Rook C4 wins on the spot. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely incredible game.